Hello, welcome to another episode of Guns and Yellow Ribbons. My name is Fergus, I'm your host. We're going to look at the first away game of the season, 2-0 victory at Villa Park. We got Trevor, who's all the way out in somewhere in Europe, Greece, Cyprus, somewhere like that, Denmark, even Brentwood. We go to such extremes to get people from all over the world on this show.
Welcome to another podcast by Guns and Yellow Ribbons. This is your Arsenal podcast by Arsenal fans for Arsenal fans. Enjoy the show.
Hello, good evening, boys. Trevor, I'll take you off mute now. We'll allow you to speak. You done planes, trains, automobiles. You're not in Blighty anymore, are you?
No, we're in Skopelos. Flew to Skiathos to here a few hours, had a swim, had a bit of dinner, and my beautiful missus has allowed me to come on this podcast with you boys. So I'm very lucky. And just as we've come in here, they turn the music up in the bar, so you might have to just keep muting me, Ferg.
I will do, but I will do.
Listen, what a performance. What a performance out of a team that turned us over twice last season, cost us the league last season. What a performance. So proud of the boys. And to top the lot, Martinez made a balls up, eh? How happy can we be? How happy can we be?
I tell you what, Dan, for once, your audio is not the worst on the show.
I was just thinking that it makes me sound a lot clearer. I'm gonna put my posh voice on today just to make sure he sounds even worse.
Dan, we'll talk to you in a minute because you went to Villa Park. You were one of the four of us that managed to be able to make the trip. Alex, Copenhagen. How was the game for you, and how's things going with you?
Very good, mate. Just watched it at home. Was quite nervy for this game, like first big test of the season. And as Trev said, we lost twice last season, so quite nervous for the game. Had some nervy moments throughout the game as well, but we managed to come out on top, and it was sweet seeing Martinez hammering the ground once again after a goal went in behind him.
Martinez, you got to love a Martinez. Everyone loves a bit of Martinez every now and then. Listen, before we go any further, there was other relevant results. Brighton beat United 2-1. Spurs beat Everton 4-0, and City beat Ipswich 4-1. Let's look at to behave yourself, Trevor. Let's look at hang on, he wants to come on. Oh, it's going to be like this.
No, listen, Ferg, seriously. Before we go any further, we must pay our condolences to a great man, Sven-Goran Eriksson, who passed away today. I forgot about it just now, and that's embarrassed me greatly, Ferg. I meant to tell you before the show, but I've been busy trying to get it set up. So please accept my apologies. That wasn't the first words we mentioned tonight, but Sven was a great man of football. He was a decent England manager. And to me, his death today is on the level with Sir Bobby Robson. They are both great football men. And they're up there now talking tactics over a beer. Rest in peace, Mr. Roots.
Yeah, well said, Trevor. Well said. You know what I really did like was the man's attitude. I was in the car today. We were bank holiday. We went out to the coast with me and the wife, and listened to a lot of it in the car on the way back. And similar to Kevin, many people had nothing but good to say about Sven. But I read about a week or so ago he's done a documentary, and he sent a message to everybody: enjoy life. And I just loved the message that he gave out. It's a good thing. Enjoy life. Make the most of your life, and most of what you can do. Enjoy the good times, because you're a long time dead. Without getting too deep, the one thing I'd want to do first of all is look at the prediction league. Over to my able assistant, who's covering his ginger hair with a red hat.
Well introed there, Ferg. Well introed. It's been a good week for most people on the predictions league, but not for you, Ferg. It's not been a good one for you again.
Oh, why? What have I? I've got another penalty of some sort.
Well, what I would say is that the intention. So we had a bit of VAR after last week because Fergus pulled me aside after the podcast and had a little moan about his deduction. So what I've decided to do is give him another one. So
do I move on?
You can go on to the next slide. Yeah. So same rules. Point for a correct result, 3 points for getting the correct score, and there are some hidden bonus and deductions. So good set of results.
Can we just clarify those bonus and deductions are totally decided by you? Nobody else is totally arbitrary.
I would say they are decided by football logic. So for the footballing gods to decide who gets bonuses and who gets deductions.
I'm really going to follow you on
weekend.
Saturday.
You are not alone with the deductions this week, though, Fergus. You'll be pleased to hear. So if you'd like to go to the next slide.
Right. So there are the results. We had the Brighton result 2-1. Palace got beaten by West Ham 2-0. Fulham, Leicester was 2-1 to Fulham. Man City, Ipswich 4-1, which we already mentioned. Nottingham Forest beat Southampton away. Everton lost 4-0. Villa, Arsenal, we'll talk about it. It was a 2-0 to the Arsenal. Bournemouth, Newcastle, robbed. Absolutely robbed. 1-1 for Newcastle, Bournemouth. Wolves, Chelsea, wow, who would have thought that? 6-2 to Chelsea. And then Liverpool, Brentford, 2-0.
You will see there, Fergus, there is a little asterisk next to your 0-0 for Tottenham Everton because we have live confirmation from the video last week that you did indeed try to change that to a 3-0 Tottenham win, which is
what I said was I was entering a 0-0, but I didn't see anything less than a 3-0. But my official entry was 0-0, and I also went fake news. So there we go.
There's a nibble.
No, there's no nibble. There's no nibble. I'm not. Oh boy, I was hook, line, and sinker on Thursday. I tell you. Let's go. Points. Here you go.
Over to the point. You will see 3 deductions. Disgusting behaviour from Dale and Alex for their 10-point deductions for, and the official line is gross misconduct. It's not showing up there. Gross misconduct, which is awarding Tottenham a win. And the official line out of the FA for you, Fergus, is Fergus has been deducted a further 10 points for bringing the game into disrepute, arguing with officials over last week's penalty points, and for challenging his score prediction, for Spurs live on the podcast. You're lucky you didn't get more than a 10-point deduction, Fergus.
Trevor, honestly, this is ridiculous, isn't it, Trevor?
I've got a strange feeling Dan's going to win this prediction league.
Funny that.
You've got no deductions yet, mate. You're doing quite well.
He does need deductions.
Dan is going to win this deduction league, this Premier, this whatever it's called, prediction league. Yeah.
Well, Fergus, you need to go to the table, mate. There's still a couple more slides there, and you'll see the official standings.
Give me a second. I'll have to reload. I got rid of the slides a second ago. Hang on. Is that what at the stage? Yeah, week 2. So, league table. Let's go.
So, what I've done is I've split between prediction points and penalty and bonus points. And you'd be doing all right, Fergus, if you didn't have any penalties. You wouldn't be too bad. You would be joint top with me. So, maybe a little bit of better behaviour from you, mate, and you might be doing all right.
Funny that, Alex, isn't it? I buy all the beers, I queue up all the songs from because he wouldn't remember none of them, and he takes all the glory with his flag and his hat, and now he's fixing the league as well. It's ridiculous.
Mate, just call me Man City, top of the league, fixed.
Yeah. Right, guys, let's look at the trip to Villa Park. I think the trip to Villa Park, according to Dan, was sponsored by, there was a sandwich company we will talk about later, but there was a drinks company that made a big part. Talk to us about this bottle of Bacardi. That went full, didn't it?
I think most of it. I think there might have been a little bit left on there, disappointingly, because, Lyle and David and Kieran were a bit of lightweight towards the end of it. But we gave it a good go, polishing it off. We had a few drinks all day. And after a good result, we thought, what better to do on the train home than to go and get a bottle of Bacardi and mix it with some nice fruit juices on the way home. And cheers to the boys for a nice 3 points.
And Villa Park, Dan, Trevor, as well, as you will know, it's actually one of the old grounds is a decent ground. The noise is good. It's especially good if you're in the lower end, if you want to have a beer, because the upper, there's no beer. Trevor, you couldn't go because it was Donna's birthday party. I couldn't go because I had stuff to do with the wife as well. But it's a great ground, isn't it, Trev?
Yeah, I always enjoyed going to Villa Park, Fergie. It's a proper good ground to watch a game of football, especially in that lower tier where you can get a beer. I was gutted I couldn't go, but family comes first, mate. And watching my wife's face smiling at her surprise birthday party on Saturday night was worth it all, mate. I have no problem with that. And I'm missing this week because we're having a lovely holiday. This is the only time I'm coming on social media this week. Do this podcast, and then it's Donna's week, and we're going to have a great week. But when I get back, what we got coming? Tottenham. I've got it in the back of my head. Tottenham. But I'm less worried about Tottenham than I was about Villa. Villa are a quality side. They played really well. David Raya, for the second week in a row, earned his money, didn't he? Properly earned his money. And he didn't have to do that too often last season. And it gives me a lot of confidence watching him 2 weeks in a row and watching him how he's developed. So that was people are not giving us enough credit for that win. We had a 2-0 win at a place where not many teams are going to go and get anything. Not many teams are going to go there and get a result for us. We've done well.
And we'll talk about the game in a bit more detail because it was for 65 minutes. It was a harder game than we're talking about now after walking away with all 3 points. Villa put a decent side out. Martinez, Cash, Konza. Is that Pau? Dingy? Onana?
Dingy.
Dingy, she's done it. 5 down and he's just done it.
I done it on purpose. Tielemans, McGinn, Bailey, Rogers, and Watkins. A decent side, Alex. A decent side, even with Dingy on there.
I'll tell you what, Dingy will keep you afloat and stop you going down, won't he?
Yeah, as long as Antinori pushes me out into sea.
Oh, God.
Oh, another one to the list.
Fergus, you need that video I sent you the other day on social media, mate, where all of the players, they did one not just for Arsenal, they did one for every team where all the players go up. And
it's over an hour, isn't it, the video?
You just need an hour's watching of that and you'll be fine.
Dingy.
Alex, talk us through what you thought of the Villa lineup and subsequently the Arsenal lineup as well. I'll get rid of that in a second. Hang on. Oh, comments. Trevor, come back. You're welcome.
Yeah.
So we had Raya, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Timber, Rice, Partey, Odegaard, Martinelli, Saka, and Havertz. The only change being Zinni for Timber.
Yeah. I mean, starting with our lineup, yes, Zinni. I think a lot of fans were hoping that Timber would be ready for the game and ready to start the game because we saw last season how troubled Zinni was with Bailey on the right side. He's a good player with a lot of pace, likes to run in behind, and I think we saw why Timber was brought in to cover because he did phenomenally against Bailey, I think, in the game. And yeah, then I guess we have to talk about Martinelli starting in front of Trossard as well. I don't really know why Martinelli has started the first 2 games looking at how Trossard finished last season because it was sort of Trossard's left wing spot last season towards the end. But then Martinelli started the first 2 games and as we saw, Trossard, rightly so, I guess, wasn't too happy about starting on the bench for the second game in a row. But yeah, he only needed his first touch of the game to sort of make his impact on the game. So, but yeah, looking at their lineup again, Rogers, I think he was a player that I was sort of looking at before the game started, and he's been a good player coming from Middlesbrough last season in the January transfer window, and I think he showed why he's a good player. Both Partey and Rice sort of struggled in midfield with keeping him down. And I think the drive he has with the ball, he's so quick and so physical with the ball. He just ran past our midfield several times.
Does he remind you of anyone, Alex?
Who?
Morgan Rogers. Which Arsenal players? Because to me, he's a standout. I look at
Vieira,
Diaby, and then Vieira.
Oh, Diaby, yeah.
Like he could be that. Honestly, I feel like I'd love us to go for him.
Like the way he glides past players, it's incredible. And then luckily, because I spoke a bit
Trevor's
about.
made a friend.
Oh God, he's bringing him on the
Here
podcast.
you go.
Top
Hello.
man.
Hey.
Hi.
Say hello.
Hi,
Yeah,
hi from Greece, Scotland.
they're all Arsenal fans.
Oh dear, he does it.
I'm really glad that my little prediction about Watkins didn't jinx anything, because I said on the prediction show last week that I didn't think that he was going to have as good as a season and that he wasn't going to score against Arsenal. And luckily, he didn't, because he came close a couple of chances, but we'll speak about that.
The opening 20 minutes were a bit sketchy in the sense that there was the play broke up quite a lot because of I think Cash came off injured, and there was quite a lot of Villa players going out. Again, going back to what we said about last week, where Declan Rice went out with cramp, these players don't seem to look like they're really ready for the Premier League again. You talked about Morgan Rogers and you talked about Ollie Watkins. Ollie Watkins came close, Dan, where Gabriel cocked up in that first half, and it wasn't the save, but again another great save from David Raya. David Raya is just David Raya. I know the words of that one.
Mr. Worldwide, he is. He's if you know, you know. But I think what I've got to start with is the away end. I thought that away end was fantastic on Saturday as well. It's not often you get an upper and a lower split where the away end is that joined up and that good. I know Lyle was at the front of the upper end, but honestly, from where I was down below, I could hear him, and he was my trigger point to sing as well. So it's really good to have an upper and lower that's joined up like that. It probably helped with the JD they were serving in the lower end as well to keep us in tune with the guys at the upper tier. But yeah, really good effort from the fans, really loud, and it's not often you can keep Villa Park that quiet for as long as we did. I thought the boys performed quite well. I did think, if I'm honest, that game could have gone either way, and very key in that game is scoring the opening goal. So for us to get that first goal was huge, and that's why it's so huge that firstly Watkins missed what I think should be a goal in the first half. You shouldn't be missing those. Question marks whether it's a foul or whether Gabriel made too much of it or not. At the time I said it was a foul. Watching it back, I think it would have been a little soft, but again could have been given as a foul. And then, fantastic from Raya, from where he dives with the ball at the crossbar to end up in his goal as much as he did, to get up and then a strong hand to push it away.
Don't go into that one yet. That's on a little bit. That's in the second half. So,
okay. But yeah, I think just in general could have gone either way, but Robert Green went our way, as well as some really good individual performances to get us over the line for a great win.
And Trevor, substitutions make a big difference. Because Villa, for me, as Dan said, the game could have gone either way, but Villa did seem definitely were more in the ascendance in that first half, and I think they probably had the better of that first half. Would you agree?
Look, right, you've had me on mute for 7 minutes there. If you keep on with this show, I'm going. I'm off. You can shove your podcast up your rear end, Fergus Keating, right?
Oh, he's had a beer.
So many things that come out of that conversation. I've got no notes. Firstly, Zinchenko was on the bench and he looked fuming. He did not look happy, Zinchenko. Not at all. But I was worried about Timber coming in, right? I genuinely worried about Timber coming in, how he was going to settle at left back, and I thought he played really, really well. And Zinchenko will be even more annoyed because he brought Calafiori on to replace him, So it's gone down to third choice. I think that the Raya save was a special moment. I think Ramsdale would have probably saved it as well. By that, I'm saying we've got two high quality players. It was not the style, but the moment of disbelief for me. I had the same moment of disbelief when Ramsdale saved that free kick at Leicester. Do you remember? Yeah. And the Leicester manager was going up in the air thinking they'd scored. I had the same moment of disbelief for that. Two amazing save from David Graham. Amazing save from David Graham. I don't know how this is going to come across, boys. But I just wonder whether Calafiori is going to end up playing centre half and Gabriel is going to share the position with him. I honestly do. I don't know why I feel that way. I just feel a bit of an Arteta special coming and something's going to surprise us. I don't know what it will be. But yeah, that first half could have gone either way. I mean, Watkins, he's been taking lessons from Rashford, hasn't he? I mean, that was awful, that miss. It was awful, that miss. But If he don't score, we take advantage. And as Dan rightly said, I thought after half time, I thought the first goal was going to be really important here. It's going to turn the game, and there he was. You know, the man Trossard to put us 1-0 up. Whether he should be that fed up or not, I don't know. Because as well as I know Martinelli hasn't been scoring goals, but we know he's going to start again soon. So we have to trust our manager with that. But I do understand Trossard's frustration. And to come on and score a goal with his first touch, he's rubbing salt in the wounds, isn't he, Trossard? He's making Arteta think. So for me, I'm now thinking, what's the next game? Brighton at home. Game we should win. The most important position I've got to talk about at the moment is left back. Who starts? I'm a great fan of Martinelli, a massive fan of Martinelli, but maybe Trossard deserves to start for me. He does.
Yeah. Before we go into like the Brighton game and stuff like that, I'd like to look at that save that we've all talked about. We're talking about this David Raya save. So Ollie Watkins, I had the video. I'm not going to play the video because we'll just get nicked for it, to be honest. But Ollie Watkins, no, it was Onana takes a shot from the edge of the box. It beats the keeper, Alex, hits the underside of the bar, and then David Raya goes down and gets back up again. Ollie Watkins, for me, I think he was very laissez-faire with his attempt, because he should have put that ball further away from Raya. I'm not taking anything away from Raya in the save. The save was absolutely fantastic. But Ollie Watkins should have done better, and Raya done absolutely amazing to get up for that. That's 2 weeks running that he's made several, but 2 outstanding saves in each game.
Yeah, and he was the official man of the match as well. And I think I said the last time that the previous season, it was mostly down to our defense, Saliba and Gabriel and Ben White and whoever played left back whenever we got a clean sheet. He had some good games, but he didn't have these kind of moments of disbelief, as Trev said. And yeah, that was just a crazy moment in the game. And yeah, it was so important because I think the first goal sort of did decide the outcome of the game, because I was surprised by how low they were. Their block was so low, Aston Villa, and I think Arteta was surprised by that as well, because the last time we came to Villa Park, they came out guns blazing with a high press, and this time they sat very deep, and I think it took Arteta a bit by surprise, and they did start to press up higher as the game moved on, Villa. And that did cause us a bit of problems, like the Gabriel incident where they pressed high and Gabriel sort of cocked up. But I felt like that moment was sort of on the edge, and that tipped it towards like our favor, and that sort of gave us a wake-up call. And from then on, we started to push more, and then Trossard came on, and it started tipping in our favor.
I think obviously the save itself, Dan, was outstanding, but also Morgan Rogers, we said earlier, was giving Partey and Rice a huge amount of problems. 65 minutes in, 10 minutes after that save, substitutions are made by both managers. And I think Unai Emery had the makings of us up until that point. And I think he went to go for the kill, and he went to go and win the game with bringing on Ramsey and Duran. And that's when it turned, because they lost that control of the midfield. What was your thoughts on the save and that control of the midfield change?
It's interesting you boys say that, because actually my feeling in the ground was first half, I thought we had the better of the first half, and I thought we were comfortable. I actually felt that when we came out in the second half, that first 10-15 minute period, you started to hear the crowd get up, and the crowd were on top of us a bit more, and you felt the atmosphere changing, and I thought the game was changing. So for us to actually score when we did, I actually felt just killed their atmosphere a little bit, and that's what really helped us kick on. First half, I thought we were comfortable. I think the way that Villa sat in with 2 on our 2-man pivot, they was pretty much saying pass the ball wide and see if you can get through us, and we couldn't. But yeah, the game's won on 2 key moments, one being the save and one being a finish from who I think is our best finisher in the club at the minute in Trossard. But the save, I think you can split into two parts. The save itself, I think, is a standard save that a keeper should be making, right? When you're up on your feet and the ball comes at you there, you should be making that save. But the athleticism of a goalkeeper to end up as far back in his goal as he did, to get up and spring up and be able to make a second save. I know they train it every single day. I've seen a lot of people on Sky this morning saying that's keepers doing their job. They train to do that. They literally do that 100 times a session. But it isn't always as easy as putting that in practice into a game. So I don't think many keepers would have been able to do that. I think many times a club would have conceded then. So I think big round of applause to David Raya. And I think he's justified his position in his squad since he's come in. He came under a lot of pressure at the start for even a couple of mistakes. Forget the Ramsdale situation. He made a couple of little mistakes at the beginning. And I think to go through that, I think the fans have stuck with him, the club and the manager have stuck with him. And I think it shows that he's our clear number one. And yeah, I think he fully deserves it. He's finally getting his applause, I think, for the big part he plays in that backfire, because the four guys in front of him are huge defenders. But when he's needed, he steps up.
Yeah, he's an excellent keeper, and he, some of the questions weren't required. I don't think Arteta helped that situation. I was coming to you, Trevor, and asking you your opinion on that, but also I was going to ask you your opinion on Trossard, first touch of the goal of the ball, 65 minutes. He scores a goal. He's not very happy when he celebrates. I'll leave it to you.
Listen, I think I 100% agree with Dan. But Dan made the point, but it has to be stressed, this point. It wasn't the save from Raya. It was where he came from to make the save, which is the key point. He bounced up there. There are goalkeepers, and plenty of them in the Premier League, that would have been down on that floor and thought, that's it, I can't get to that, and not got up and got to it. The way he got up and moved and covered the ball, it actually turned it into what was quite a simple hand to get to the ball, as Dan said. Absolutely rightly. Goalkeepers can be expected to make that save, but where he come from to make it makes it special. As for Trossard, we need goal scorers, don't we? We're only going to win the league if all of our front 4 or 5 players score goals this season, because we're not going to have a striker. So Trossard coming on and hitting the ball in the net like that, it's got to open the manager's eyes, and he's got to be thinking, we've got to give Trossard a chance, right? Because I was a little bit disappointed with the way Havertz played on Saturday, because I didn't think he played like the full forward he did the week before. There were times when Saka and Martinelli were wide with the ball and Havertz went towards the ball, right? I don't want Havertz going towards the ball. I want Havertz getting into the box and getting on the end of a cross that might come in from Martinelli and Saka. That's the forward I want to see. And that's how Havertz played last week when he scored the header. If we're wide and we're playing Havertz up top, I don't want to see him going towards the ball in that position. We've got Odegaard and we've got Rice and even Partey that can do that. They can go towards the ball. So I want to see Havertz up top. But Trossard, we need goal scorers. And if we've got a player that's coming on and scoring first touch and showing his attitude and showing that he really means what he's all about, he has to play for me, because we're going to win this league having many different goal scorers if we're going to win it. And Trossard's going to be a massive part of that. So, for me, start him, stick him in. Martinelli's young, he'll bounce back, but Trossard for me all day long.
The only question would be is if you have Trossard starting and Martinelli doesn't seem to be 100% on form. Not on form is the wrong word, but it doesn't seem to be purring like he was, say, at the beginning of last season. Who comes off the bench to make those change and to make that impact like what Trossard does? Another player that's made a huge impact on our season, who when we've seen him play before, we've all said a fit Thomas Parteys is just key. And I think you talk about Trevor, I know it's 2 games into the season, we're talking about winning the league. I think there's a genuine belief that we can win the league. And I think fit Thomas Parteys, Dan, is key to that, because he really broke those lines, didn't he? And he got his goal as well.
He's key because he's such a unique player. I don't think there's anyone else like him in not just the squad, but not that many like him in the Premier League, let alone just at Arsenal. So to keep him fit gives us a better balance in the team. His athleticism to cover the ground that he does, his ability to win the ball back, but then his ability when he's on it to break lines. Others can do what he does and break the lines, but they can't do it at the speed that he does. His speed of thought to know where players are, to make those passes before he's even received the ball, is what makes him stand out above the rest. And his physicality that he brings to that as well is a key aspect. We've had great teams of the past that have got players like that in the middle with Gilbertos and Vieiras, etc., that have been able to do that. And that's what he brings to our team with a top level ability. So, but it only works when he's got that level of athleticism and that physicality. So he has to be top level physically to be able to bring that level, which means keeping him fit. So we've got to find a way of making that happen for him, whether that's someone that can rotate on certain games where we feel like we don't need to be as physical to keep him fit, managing his training load. You know, we used to get players the likes of Robin van Persie that didn't train very often because of his injuries. And you need to find ways to manage that with players, certainly at his age, as well as he's coming to sort of, you know, his 30s and his last few years at the top level, possibly. So if we don't do that, we need to find solutions. I think Jorginho is a very good replacement at times, but he's not like for like. He's a very talented footballer, but no one else like him in the squad. Even Rice, I think, doesn't have that ability that he has in that same position.
Okay, Alex, you messaged me after the game and questioned about Trossard's goal celebration. And with Moreno coming in, which is all but done, surely that allowed Rice to drop into that Partey role and cover for Partey in those certain games. Alex?
Yeah, I think it just gives us some depth and allows us to rotate. So Partey doesn't have to play every single game because we know he can't do that throughout the whole season. But yeah, I think it was funny to see there was some mixed opinions on Partey's game. I thought he had a brilliant game, but I saw others in our group chat that didn't think he had the best of games. And I think it was probably down to how Morgan Rogers primarily exploited just the lack of verticality in midfield. He just ran past both Partey and Rice a couple of times. And I think Rice on his best form, that wouldn't have happened because normally you don't just run past Rice. Normally he gets a tackle in or he'll body the player or something. But yeah, he just needs to get up to speed. He still looks like he's feeling a bit of the fatigue from going deep in the Euros. So I mean, we could rest Rice a couple of games when Moreno comes in and when he's ready, or maybe it just takes him to play some more games to get into match fitness again. But yeah, I think Partey had a brilliant game personally, and I think his goal just topped it off. Sort of a Thomas Partey classic, isn't it? Receiving the ball on the edge of the box. We all remember the Tottenham goal he scored in our ground, where he just got a layoff pass and he just banks it first time into the near post, sort of catches the keeper off guard.
I have a vague memory of that. Very vague.
Very vague. Yeah.
Briefly, your view on Trossard and his goal celebration, only because it was you who messaged me.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't put too much into it. I think
that's what I said.
Yeah, the way I think he just shows that he cares about playing. He wants to play, and I think if he shows it by performing on pitch when he comes on and sort of getting his anger and frustration out in that way, it's all good. And yeah, he has to start the next game for me.
I don't think it is anger and frustration though, to me. I mean, I really can't see any problem at all with what has happened with Trossard, right? The guy has been dropped when I think he doesn't deserve to be dropped. He's come on, and when you've been dropped, and yeah, you're going to be unhappy as a player. Let's be honest, if you're playing as well as Trossard has played for us at the back end of last season, to then come out and not start the first two games of the season, you are not going to be happy. But there's a way of coming back and saying, I'm not happy. And that's proving it on the pitch, saying, without words, just actions, come on, Gaffer, you've got to start me. I deserve to be starting. And I think that's exactly what he's done. I don't think he's had a bad attitude from what we've heard. As I said, you're never going to be happy.
I don't for a second think.
Right way.
I don't think for a second it is either. I think it's exactly as we've all said. He wants to play football. Trevor,
what I want to quickly say, Fergus, is it's important not to get on the back of Martinelli, because I've seen a lot of people jumping on to him at the minute saying, you know, he didn't have a good game. I'm going to be honest with you, he had no end product, and he probably should have come sooner. We was calling for that in the crowd, saying we need to change. But he's a young lad that has a lot of talent, and we just need from him the same as what we've just seen from Trossard. If you're not playing next week and Trossard is playing, and you do come on the pitch, show to us you're unhappy not to be playing. Make a difference. Come on and play your best. You need someone to push you, and I think dropping him would be a good thing for a few games.
I just recall saying last week, I think it was, and even in some of the pre-season stuff that we saw, that Martinelli did look quite, I don't know, stressed, angry. Not angry wasn't the right word, but he didn't look as happy as you would like him to be. Trevor, it's all about a team game, and celebrating goals is one thing. Celebrating clearances like Saliba's recovery run to dispose of Ramsey's. He was running down one-on-one with the keeper, and just the pace the man had, and the to be running flat out like that, and then just to nick it away from somebody's foot like that, it was outstanding.
Look, like it's becoming normal now, isn't it? When he was through, looking like he was going to be 1-to-1, I was watching it on the television, obviously. Then I saw Saliba coming back. I had no worries. I thought Saliba was going to make the tackle here. I knew Saliba was going to make the tackle when he was 10 yards off the ball. I wasn't concerned in the slightest. The man's got that much quality about him, Fergus. He really has. And he's a quality player in what is really a quality side we've got now. I can't let move on from this party thing and the party comparison with Rice thing as well. It's really important, right? People have got to understand the job that Thomas Parteys does. Thomas Parteys is still getting some bad vibes from the fans. Watch what he does. Don't watch his style. He's a lethargic. He lopes about. He's a big lad. He always looks like he's lolloping about, you know. But watch what he does. Watch where he puts himself. Watch how he plays, right? I said at the end of last season, we won the last 5 games because we had Thomas Parteys fit. I said at the start of this season, if we can somehow keep Partey fit for this season, difficult task, but if we can somehow keep Partey fit for this season, I honestly think we win the league. I think that Thomas Partey is that important to our football club. I don't like comparing him with Declan Rice. I think they play a different game. I think Rice is a little bit, moves around the park a bit quicker, maybe even reads the game a bit quicker than Partey. But Partey always gets himself in the right place. Thomas Parteys is a very, very important player. He needs a song and he needs support from our club, because if he stays fit, we win this league.
Ricardo Calafiori, I've got one right, became the
Calafiori.
Calafiori. It'll do. It'll do. It's a close.
Hey, listen, Ferg, before I forget, because I've had a few beers now, I'm just going to drift off the subject for 30 seconds. Dan, we need a song along the lines of "You've Been Blancoed," right? Because it's hilarious. There must be a song
about to
out
mention that we have to discuss that episode as well.
You've been blancoed.
So
we've got to mention that episode.
So it's a good point, because all I was going to say was Calafiori has been the 903rd player to play for the Arsenal first team, but a legend footballer that will be Benny Blanco, and the way him
Can
and
you
Saliba,
name the other Italians, by the way, guys, before we move on? Can you name the other Italians to play for a club?
I know Arturo, what's it called, Lupolio.
Lupoli. Yeah. No.
The goalkeeper, what's his name?
Was that?
It wasn't Manoni, was it?
Manoni.
Vivi. Yeah, Vito Manoni. Yeah,
Vito Manoni. One more. Come on, if you don't get this one.
Vermaelen was Belgian, but
yeah, he was.
Vermaelen was Belgian. What's that got to do with this?
No.
What are you talking about?
African,
We've already
isn't he?
answered the question first. Am I on mute or can you hear me? I haven't got a clue.
No, we can hear you. We can hear you. I don't know.
If you don't get this, we've got major problems.
What position?
I mean, he plays for the club now.
Oh, yeah, of course, Jorginho.
No one said it, so you can't say of course, Alex, when you've not said it.
I thought it was past Arsenal players.
I might be wrong, so maybe someone put in the chat if we're wrong. I think they're the only 4 with Calafiori and.
There must have been more.
I don't
We've
think there's
currently
been
got
many.
101 people watching us right now, 84 on the X platform. We'd love if you went over to YouTube and clicked like and subscribe. And the people who are on YouTube watching, make sure you hit the like button. Let's talk about Ben White then, and how do you not get caution for that? Because it's a point blank in his face, isn't it?
McGinn did the same.
No, he was trying to kick the ball into touch, Fergus.
Oh, of
Just like
course.
McGinn was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He can't help it if McGinn's in the way of his clearance. Come on. Ben White wouldn't do that on purpose.
No, of course
Move
not.
on. Just put it to bed.
Of course not. And listen, we've won our first two games of the top flight campaign without conceding for the third time in our history. The last time we done that was 1924-25 season and the 71-72 season. The record that we have for Arteta in 2024 away games, we played 10, we've won 9, drawn 1, which was away to City. We've scored 30 goals and only conceded 3 goals. These guys here.
That's crazy.
These guys here. Okay, we haven't got Gabby in there as well, and whoever plays at left back, but our defensive 5, whatever they are, and it's just outstanding.
Another question for the podcast, because we did this on the train home. Who were those 3 goals that we conceded them against on the away run?
2 against
I
Tottenham
don't care.
and
2
1
against
against. No, we 0-0. It was it Sheffield or Burnley?
No, no.
Neither.
Clean sheet.
We went 5 and 6 past them.
It weren't West Ham because we won 6-0
No,
there.
6-0.
I don't know.
So we don't spend ages. Run the Midlands.
Oh, it can't be West Brom.
Team in red.
Forest.
Forest. Yeah, 2-1 at Forest.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That was a close game.
But you look at the teams that we've actually played in that time. And what was the point of that? We've played some big teams there and had some brilliant defensive performances.
That's a ridiculous record, isn't it?
City one being huge, but that's a complete change around from what we've had in the last few years. And I think all credit to the management team there, because that's not something that can be just changed and built overnight. That takes years.
No, it's not. No. The boys done us proud at Villa Park. There's yourself and Kieran in the Doug Ellis Lower, and
Sure.
you know the most important thing to do, because of all the drinking that people do, and you know and the energy that's consumed when you're jumping around and scoring 2 goals is make sure you refuel. You need to eat. And David, round of applause for David. David made sure he got his sandwich, and he sat. And it's important your posture as well when you eat. You sit down, relax, and let your food go down. So here's David. David, Dan, this is your idea, not mine.
There was mate. Honestly, I wouldn't have said and done this to anyone else other than David because of his comments this weekend about Dennis Bergkamp, and I won't repeat too many of them, but that's why he deserves this. But there were some very funny smells coming out of that toilet where he was sitting, and I'm hoping it was just his sandwich.
I hope it was an egg mayonnaise sandwich.
Sorry,
there's
David.
a question. You wanted a bit of question to Alex. We're linked with this player here, which is from Club Bruges. Alex, it's Andres Skov Olsen.
Well done. That was pretty all right.
Does none of the 5 out of 10 ones, but goes straight for the 10 out of 10 and gets it. How does he do it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Genius.
Pow.
But no, my question here, Alex, is because I'm not going to be pretending like everyone else. I know who he is. Got absolutely no idea who this guy is. Never even watched a YouTube video of him. Is he sufficient backup for Saka if we get him?
I think he could be. I think he fits the profile we want on the right wing. Some of the others we've been linked to, Sterling. I don't know if it's like a proper link, but some of the others are more like right-footed, just pacey wingers that likes to get down the line. Whereas this guy is more similar to Saka, where he cuts in and he's got a good finish on him. like curling it in on the far post. He played in Nordsjælland in Denmark, and then he moved to Bologna in the Serie A. So he's played there for a couple of years and did all right, and then moved to Belgium where he's been playing really well. And he's been doing okay in the Danish national team as well. But I think he just lacks some consistency. But I think the ceiling's definitely there for him. So there's potential if he comes in. I think he could be a good backup for Saka, and just sort of sit there and develop and learn off him as well.
See, my only problem there, Alex, right, is I don't mind selling a Ramsdale to bring through a Raya or an Eddie to bring someone else in, etc. We've seen it with Smith Rowe, academy players come and go. Sometimes you need to do it to improve. But if this guy is not much of an improvement on Reece Nelson,
I wouldn't say he is.
And you're going to pay a similar amount to what you're going to sell Nelson for, I think I'd rather stick with an academy lad and give him another go, as opposed to bringing in someone that may not be too much better.
There's another way of looking at that. Maybe by bringing in a young lad and he's over the top, over the moon that he's joined Arsenal, that he might be a bit more enthusiastic about putting an effort in. Not saying that Nelson isn't, before anybody jumps down my throat, but Nelson's been there. He's got the comfort of having Arsenal right round him. He's got his name, he's got his position, he's got his berth in the team, where this guy's going to be pushing and pushing on from there. Go on, Trev.
No, if this lad ain't signed for the Arsenal yet, I couldn't give two hoots about him. Everyone's forgetting about Nwaneri. Nwaneri's going to play a massive part this season. Everybody's forgetting about him. We're going to sign this, we're going to sign that. We've got young players in our squad that are going to come through this season. And Nwaneri is a superstar. He'll play some games for us in the Cups. And by the end of the season, he could be an important part of our team in the Premier League as well if he comes through as we think he might. So we keep getting linked with all these players. It's confusing me greatly because, you know, I'm happy with what we've got. If we had, we had, but we've got cover everywhere, haven't we? I mean, they say
the only
haven't.
The only area is the Saka.
We've got cover on the right wing because when Saka went off last week, Martinelli come on and did a decent job that side. You know?
I mean, maybe a question across the board, but do you guys really feel we have sufficient cover? Because I looked at that bench against Villa and looked down the list and thought, who's going to come on and change his game? And the only one
Eddie's going.
Yeah, the only one I saw on that list that could change the game was Trossard. I do think we maybe need one or two more that can change the game. I don't think you can rely on Nwaneri yet. He's too raw. He needs to be given a chance, but he can't be a player you rely on to change a game.
I see more as cover for Odegaard as well, especially after Vieira's gone on loan.
Even then, that worries me greatly. Like, Nwaneri could be an absolute well-beater, but at the moment...
Well, the bench was Zinchenko, Kivior, Calafiori, Jorginho, Nelson, Nwaneri and Trossard. Nwaneri will, as Trevor rightly said, will make an impact and will have I'm hoping to have a really strong season. But...
wait a minute. We just talked about this lad that Alex was talking about, and Alex used... all the words were he hasn't reached his ceiling yet. He's possibly capable of reaching our level. He played for Bologna, but he didn't move to a big club from Bologna. He went or somewhere else. Sounded like he was talking about Nwaneri because Nwaneri's done all them things. He's just not proven at the top level. You know, I don't want us to bring in the players that we might bring through now. Not at this stage. If we're going to bring a player in, I want us to bring a player in that's going to have an immediate impact. A high quality player that hasn't got to be bought on, that hasn't got to be brought up in the under 21s, that hasn't got to sit on the bench. You've got to, if we're going to bring a player in, we bring a bloody good player in and we stick him straight in, or he gets in and about the squad. If we're going to bring in players that need bringing on, we've got those in our youths. So
I guess that was my point as to why would he be the one that replaces Nelson. For me, I actually agree with you 100%. We should only be bringing in players that are going to hugely improve our team. And if we're just swapping like for like as a backup...
Trevor's ordering another beer, look. He's ordering another beer.
I think he needs to wash it down and celebrate that I agreed with him because he's not used to that. But I generally, that's the one thing that worries me at the minute. Attacking threat when you need to change a game, I don't think we have enough yet. And I would like to see one maybe two.
And the problem you've got there, without going on about stuff that we don't really know about hugely, is who's going to come in and play second fiddle to Saka? So for me, if the likes of Nico Williams is a good option because he can cover for Martinelli, he can go left and right, and I think he can play centre forward too. So you need versatile players that are going to come in there.
We don't need people to play second fiddle though, Ferg. We need people to come in and do exactly what Martinelli and Trossard are doing, which is be able to rotate and just come in like for like.
Correct.
Because there are going to be times when we need to do it, and we can't continue for 10 years doing with Saka what we're currently doing. And the drop-off is too much when he's not available. So we need to have that. And also there's an element of we want Saka to reach his full potential, and his full potential has an unlimited ceiling at the minute of where we could reach. And to push him, he needs someone that's on his back 24/7. Probably not a Reece Nelson to push him there.
But the problem is how good he is, isn't it, Saka? I feel like it's a similar problem as to what Tottenham had with Harry Kane when they needed a second, like a backup striker to him. It's difficult to find a player who wants to sit behind Saka and wait for his chance, because we aren't going to find a player who's as good as Saka or nearly as good who will just sit on the bench and wait for his chance. So it's a difficult case of finding a player who's good enough, but also who want to wait for his chance and take it when it comes, because Saka he's a right winger, and we can't see a case where we see another player rotating with him like we do with Trossard and Martinelli, because Saka is just too good for that, in my opinion.
Trev, you can see that Arteta can see that he needs to give some rest time to Saka, because in the first 2 games of the season, he's taken him off. He hasn't done that before. The boys are right that you need an impact substitute like Trossard, where 10 of his 14 Premier League goals came as substitutes in the Premier League. It's clear to see that Arteta must be identifying that area, don't you think?
For me at the moment, we've got Trossard, Martinelli and Saka who can rotate around the wings, right? Martinelli come on and replaced Saka a couple of weeks ago. It wasn't perfect, but we don't know if they've been working on that in training. We don't know if they've been working on moving them around. Arteta likes players that can play in all positions, So who do we know? So I'm all right with Saka, Trossard and Martinelli. If they've got equal amount of game time each, it's resting Saka, which is really important. And then if we're not going to bring anybody in at that level, I don't think. So we've got to trust Nelson, Wanyeri, and I wish we could trust Owen Smith-Rowe, but he's gone. But as Alex just said, right, or was it Dan? I don't know. One of the two. We're not going to find any one of the class of them three, right? We're not going to find someone that come in and hit the ground running with them three. So why not just promote from within? It ain't going to be any worse. Right, listen, boys, I've got to leave this show now, right? Because everything's falling apart. My earphones are broken. And I'm going to have to go. So I hope you'll please forgive me, Fergus.
We are. Donna just sent me a message, said, tell Trevor he's got to finish now. My glass is empty. So Fergus, I understand that. I understand. No, I've got the message here.
I typed the message, you idiots. Right, listen.
Enjoy the rest of your holiday, and happy birthday Thursday for Donna.
Yeah. Okay.
Happy birthday, Donna, on Thursday.
Okay. Bye.
Boys, some of the other positives that we got: Thomas Parteys hit his 6th Premier League goal for Arsenal. It was his first away goal, and hopefully first of many. Saka has been involved in 17 of the last 19 Premier League goals for us, 12 goals and 5 assists. And we've won our opening 2 games in 3 consecutive seasons for the first time in our history. Mikel Arteta is definitely making huge waves. I was talking to somebody earlier today and just saying, look at what Arteta's done. Look what even the Cronkies. I think since Josh took more of an input after the ESL debacle thing, they've done really well. When you look at the state of the likes of Chelsea and Man United. Alex?
Sorry, what was the question?
There wasn't. We were just talking about generally about how well that we've done after.
Really good to know you pay attention, Alex.
Yeah, Arteta, the impact Arteta's making over the last nearly 5 years now, but in the last 3 seasons, we've won our opening 2 games for the first time in our history. And if we go back to the season prior to that, we lost 3, and everyone's talking about Arteta out and we're going to get relegated.
Yeah, I suppose it's just a testament to how far we've come as a club in those years where Arteta's been behind the wheel. And you mentioned the Cronkies as well. I think he's got the deserved backing as well. He's getting the players he wants, and it's paying off. And yeah, I mean, when you look at some of the other clubs, in the meantime, Man United, Chelsea, the way they're being run, we just have to be happy as Arsenal fans that we aren't being run as crazy and stupidly as they are, especially Chelsea. So yeah, I guess the winning the 2 opening games in consecutive seasons is just a testament to how far we've come and how good we are, and like how good place we are in as a club at the moment. And yeah, I'm just really looking forward to the rest of the seasons. And we've got some difficult games. Brighton coming up. We saw how good they were against Man United. They've brought in some exciting young players, and they're playing good football with their new manager. And then Spurs and City away. Difficult games to come, but we can really get off to a good start this season.
12,
do you want me to answer that question properly, Fergus, from someone that was paying attention to the question at the start?
Can do. Will help.
What I would say, right, there's 2 parts to that. And firstly, the Cronkies absolutely deserve, I think, a lot of applause for what they've done. And I think they openly admit that they got it wrong at the start. I think they came in and they openly said they didn't understand the UK market for football, and that you can't just compare it to what sport is like in the US. The fan base is completely different. And if you try and run a club like the American clubs are run, it just won't work. And I think we're seeing that exactly with Chelsea. I think Chelsea will change that in a few years' time when they realise that you can't achieve success with this, and you have to be able to engage properly with fans, and you can't just put 11 stars out and expect them to go and win you things. But these are owners that have been there and done it before in various sports. So they're good businessmen, and they know how to run a club well, and they know what you need to do to bring in your end consumer, being the fans. And I think they're learning just the same as we are, just the same as the team is, and just the same as the management team are. And it's all about very, very small margins. You know, we've got a team that last year that finished 2 points off of probably the greatest side that the Premier League has seen. And we're still trying to find ways of how we can close that gap. And it's such things as starting quicker. That is where we dropped a couple of points last year. And considering we're only 2 points off, it's only got to be one small little thing that we change that could turn us from second into first. But we're also banking on the fact that last year we took 4 points off of Man City. How many seasons are you actually going to be able to go and take 4 points off of Man City? It may not happen again. So it might not just be a couple of points here that we need to take. It might actually be 6 points that we need to find somewhere else. And that could be a fine margin, such as having a backup for Saka that's a little bit better, being able to rotate him a little bit, keeping him a little bit fresher, having a few more options just in case you do get a big injury to a player like Partey. They're the things that you can get sort of 4, 5, 6 points gained from. And I think that's the thing that could make us into title contenders. So I think at the moment, if we stay with this exact same squad in 4 days' time when the window closes, I think I'd actually be a little bit disappointed, because I think we're so close now to be able to push on to make sure we can get that 4, 5, 6 extra points that we need, that it would be a real shame if we don't do it. Now, I appreciate from a fan, it's not that easy to see what actually goes on inside the club. I guarantee the club are trying to shift people on and trying to get as much value for them as possible. And they probably have targets to reinvest in, some that may break down, some that other clubs may offer more money for, and it doesn't quite go the way you plan. But I think we're so close now that, yeah, I'd be a little bit disappointed if we don't get something extra in.
I'd have to agree. I think if we move on Eddie, we've moved on Smith Rowe and the outgoings, plus bringing in Calafiori, signing Raya on a permanent. The window would be okay. I like the outgoings if we invest that money in bringing in the right players just to finish off the squad. If we just bank the money and then maybe do something in January, for me, it's a bit too late. Or if we do something next summer, and all talk is that the Cronkies target was always 2025 to hit big. And when you look at their business models in America, when they've won the Stanley Cup and the Super Bowl and everything else, it's young manager 5-year plan, young manager 5-year plan, and that will be the young manager 5-year plan. backed as well with money. They've stuck to the same thing. But I think it would be such a shame to miss out when we're this close. I know it's 36 games still to go. I'm close to saying, yeah, we can do it. We can do it, but it just does need that final little push over the hill. Forget about the 115 charges, but you've got the thing about Pep is probably going to be leaving at the end of the season. You saw how that derailed Liverpool a little bit in their campaign last year. So, the uncertainty when you know your manager's going and what's going to come around the corner for them, that all makes a big difference, all in the psychological battle. So, yeah, I'm totally with you, Dan, on that. I'd love us. It doesn't have to be a centre forward, but it needs to be something attacking. Ideally, two players, a centre forward and cover for Saka, which we said, but cover for Saka for me, for more than somebody to push him more than anything else, because we have goals coming from everywhere else. Next up, we've got Brighton at 12:30 kickoff. Very, very briefly, we've gone over the hour, and we've got no excuse to say it wasn't Trevor this time because he's hardly spoke.
It was his fault at the beginning.
He's always pissed off, isn't he? But it's a huge push. Myself and yourself will be there early. We'll be in the ground from about 11:15. If you're going to the ground, get to the ground early, because the 12:30 kickoffs are the most important kickoffs that we need to make sure the atmosphere is there. 8 o'clock on a Wednesday night when we're playing Bayern Munich, everyone's up for it. When you go North London derby, everyone's up for it. But we're playing Brighton. Brighton are unbeaten. They're scoring goals for fun. They've got some really good players, Alex. Some of those, is it Minty? They've got some other, they just seem to find a gem every season. Briefly, give me an idea what you think of this Brighton side and what we're going to look out for. We're not doing a Thursday night, by the way, this week. I'm away and Trevor's away.
Yeah, it's going to be a really difficult game. They have previously been a bit of a banana skin team for us at home. We did well away from home last season. We beat them twice last year. We beat them 2-0 home, I think, as well, and then 3-0 away. But previous to that, we have lost a couple of games at home to Brighton, and they've started off really well with their new young manager and the young talent they've brought in. As you mentioned, Minte on the right wing, he started off well, lightning fast, very direct in the way he plays. Mitoma has picked up his form again on the left-hand side. João Pedro has been doing really well. They've just brought in a Danish midfielder, Matt O'Reilly. Doesn't sound very Danish, but he's got a Danish mother. And he's committed to the Danish national team.
Danish mother and Irish father. Jesus, that sounds familiar, doesn't it, Alex?
Yeah, it does, yeah.
Sounds a bit dodgy, mate, to me.
Yeah. Well, Irish heritage.
I think they're the team that spent the second most behind Chelsea this window in the top 5 leagues. So they've really spent some money. And it's very unlike Brighton to spend that amount of money. But it just shows they're ready to take the next step and go into take the step into European places and fight for those places in the league. And I think they're going to have a brilliant season. And yeah, it's going to be a tough game. We've got to be up for it and ready on Saturday. As you said, early kickoff. We've got to be there and got to be ready.
Dan, got to be there, got to be ready. Bringing your hat, your flag, your voice.
I mean, mate, he's the Pope Catholic. Come on, let's not be silly. It's gonna happen. Of course, we're gonna be there with hats and scarves and living flags and as loud as we can. But yeah, we absolutely need everyone to bring it. If I'm honest, as you said, 12:30 kickoffs can be very, very flat. Like, I know nobody wants to get up at 8 o'clock and have a beer. I mean, like to, but probably not me. Yeah, not me. That's a silly question as well, wasn't it? Not many will be. So it can be a bit flatter, but it's a huge game because Brighton are a really, really good side, and I think they'll be just as good a side under Herzl as they would under sort of De Zerbi before he left. Some of the players that they bought have been great. As Alex said, they find it every single year. I think if they sign Fergus or the left back from Fenerbahce as well,
have signed him.
They actually signed him now.
Yeah.
And I think he's brilliant. He had a great Euros with Turkey as well, and he's been great in the Turkish league. And they get players like in that for sort of 20, 25 million. And they turn them into 80, 90 million players that they sell, do it time and time again. So I think where we cut them unstuck against them previously is normally the Brighton press. Interesting to see how they are now under the new coach, whether they press exactly the same. But they press in a way that we really couldn't play around them our usual game when we've played them a few times, and we've got frustrated and they've hit us on the counter at times and a bit of a sucker punch. So we need to be on our game, solid defensively, and again, same as the Villa game, first goal, very, very key.
Yeah. Trevor's not here, so I don't think it'd be appropriate for us to play North London Forever. I think we should have a new song just for today, all the way from Villa Park. Dan, that was your TikTok, although it has been hijacked by a few other people on Twitter.
Yeah, it's got. It's had about like 1.2, 1.3 million views across my two platforms. Bit crazy, really. Although I've seen some comments on it saying, "No, the fans were actually singing clean sheet for Arsenal, mate." I can assure you, none of us were singing clean sheet for Arsenal.
Clean sheet for Arsenal.
Yeah, like
Clean sheet for Arsenal.
I had one guy claim that he'd flown over from I don't know where he was from, flown over a long way to watch the game, and said that's what we was all singing. Like, mate, 3,000 of us did not get it wrong. We were singing about Martinez. And a last question for you guys, because we've had some really interesting comments here. Some people saying we're right to be singing that to Martinez. Some people saying no, we should never sing that against a player.
He's bad-mouthed us off. He's the one who he could have easily gone. He'd done 10 years good service for Arsenal on loan. He came, and when he was asked to play for Arsenal, he done really, really well, and he did. He nearly did get that number one spot, but he clearly, I don't know. He just, when he left, he was all up himself and he was giving it all back to us. And that game then at Villa Park 2 years ago, where it bounced and he scored the own goal, or Martinelli goal, it was just perfect justice. And he was crude at the World Cup in guitar, Qatar, considering, the culture of where he was as well. It was also even more crude. The guy's got no class. And Ruth Beck painted that picture when he won the FA Cup, holding the FA Cup, because he did almost single-handedly win the FA Cup for Arsenal with his performance in goal that time, and he deservedly got the appreciation of every Arsenal fan. But no, fuck him.
I'll be honest with you. Instead of Trev time, I think we've just had Fergus time. I think you've just
had Fergus time.
Right, okay.
The Martinez rant.
The Martinez rant. Here we go. Before we go, I do want to mention Demsek has put it in the comments here. Big weekend for us. Look, obviously, we talked about the Brighton game, but also Mike Feinberg and Ruth and Del Llewellyn and Charlie Shanks and Poorly Drawn Arsenal. And there's quite a few different artists going to the Drayton Arms on Drayton Park at 7:00 on Friday. You can get tickets online. They're only a tenner, and that entitles you to a drink when you get in as well. So it's London, a drink in the pubs around there are £7 or £8 anyway. How much was a pint in the Drayton, Alex? Do you remember?
Nope, I really don't remember.
That's probably because he did what you and Trev do, and he kept his wallet in his pocket.
Hey.
But if you can get down to London for it, I don't know what I'm doing. I've got my daughter flying over on Wednesday. I'm in Manchester on Thursday, and then there's wedding planning stuff going on. So I don't know, but if I can, I intend on dropping down for an hour or so. But I'm not promising yet. But we shall see. Dan, Alex, Trevor in your absence, and Donna as well, thank you for giving him permission. I hope he's watching that bit. I really do hope he's watching that bit.
To be honest, Berg, I thought I could hit, as he left, I thought I heard a sound and it went a little bit like, I don't know if you heard that, but maybe play the audio back because that's what I heard.
Yeah, it probably was.
I hope you didn't hear that bit.
I don't know. There was a little thumb coming out the side. You know when he went out to the camera? I think that was Donna.
That was Donna's thumb, wasn't it? Just like that, yeah. Right, you have been watching Guns and Yellow Ribbons podcast, an Arsenal podcast by Arsenal fans, for Arsenal fans. 123 of you looking at us right now. Lots on Twitter. Please go over to our YouTube page, like and subscribe. Up the Arsenal, fuck the Spurs.
Thanks for listening to Guns and Yellow Ribbons, an Arsenal podcast by Arsenal fans, for Arsenal fans. Follow us on Facebook at Guns and Yellow Ribbons or Twitter at Guns and Ribbons. And remember to rate and review us too. Up the Arsenal.